Hey guys, for starters, before I go on with this video, I just want to address that this is not intended to attack anyone specifically, or it's not realistically roasting anyone, a part of this game, a part of the devs, the community, etc. This is just strictly me explaining how I feel about this game right now and what I've gone through, and essentially what I see the issues are with current day Dead by Daylight. So for starters, optimization. One of the biggest reasons right now that I've been deterred from this game as of lately has been optimization. Ever since the 3.2.1 patch fix, or hotfix I mean, sorry, the frame rate has been pretty bad. So has the memory leak that already has been an issue from before, but not as bad as now per se. After about 4, maybe 3 hours, even the lobby screen is severely laggy. And even clicking something as simple as your loadout can take an extra like 5 seconds just due to how bad the optimization has been. Loading screens have been a lot more choppy. A lot of things in game have been laggier. For example, being hit with Sloppy Butcher, you generally hit a pretty bad lag spike, as anybody who's watched my streams or my VODs or my videos has seen that the moment I get hit with Sloppy for the first time, there is a huge lag spike which pretty much negates any chance of me avoiding that hit at all. Um, Other than that, I know for a fact that Freddy's Dream World as well, for some people, me sometimes not really, but right when you enter the Dream World for the first time too, there is a massive lag spike. And again, that kind of is annoying. It's just annoying. It can cause a lot of problems, especially when you're being chased. Next thing I really want to bring up is just the servers. And I know everyone's been talking about the servers like crazy. It's nothing new to anyone, nothing surprising. Both sides of the game have very, very huge problems when it comes to the servers. For one, the biggest thing is the hit reg and the latency. I can't begin to describe how annoying and unfortunate it is when 99% of my games, and I'm pretty sure every other Survivor player's games, are heavily determined by who gets hitboxed the least. And it just feels like any inch of skill, correct decision making, just overall the correct play, none of that matters anymore. Because even if you do the correct play, you're hit anyways. Either whether it be through a window, through a pallet, or just from the moon, just from areas that are just so far away that it doesn't make sense anymore. I've uh, I've jumped from windows and have been 99% down to the floor and have still been hit through them. And the excuse of latency just isn't plausible anymore. It's not. The servers were supposed to fix that. If everybody is at a steady 100 to 60 ping, or sorry, 60 to 100 ping, that should not be an issue. There is something more in depth than that, and people have been saying that forever, and it's constantly been ignored, or it's been beat around the bush or something else. And I think it's time for the devs to truly sit down and look at this and figure out what the true problem is here. Because the biggest, one of the, if not the biggest thing for me right now deterring me from this game is the servers. Even on the killer side, yesterday I was playing a nurse game, and a server bug making me like freeze in one spot and lag back permanently really ruined the game for me. I lost about a gen to 2 gens trying to beat this bug, and I never saw this bug before servers 2. So either I gotta pick my side. On killer, either I'm forced to have extreme huge bugs that pretty much make the game unplayable for me, or I play survivor and I get hit reg to the roof. With that as well, the amount of bugs lately since servers has, if not just destroyed the game for me. Hunters hitting people through walls is the biggest one. I actually, when I was playing a game with Brian S. and the King, both of them had footage of like a blatantly hacking hillbilly in our game who was chainsawing people through like 5 walls. We have all the evidence in the world to prove that he was cheating anyways. We've sent it in, so hopefully he'll be banned. But I've never seen that be a thing until now. I'm pretty sure, I know hackers have been around, but I haven't seen something like this in a very, very long time, and it only became a thing when servers started, so. Exploits. So, again, I don't know why the devs just don't disable perks or characters that have game-breaking bugs. Legion was one of them to begin with. Then it was Clown with his pinky finger. Then it was now Huntress hitting through walls. I've been hit through walls on Shaq countless times, and the killer has indirectly admitted to it, and I doubt they will ever get punished. Even if I report them, it's an evidence, because these things just don't get looked at. It's not just something the devs give a shit about. They banned for Legion. They claim they did, but nothing else. Why was Legion the only one that was that bad to ban people for? I don't quite understand at all. And again, on servers, Huntress hitboxes are just way too out of the fucking loop, man. They're way too, like, they're just gone way too far. You can be 90 degrees the other way and still get hit. Or like way past the wall and be hit because of quote unquote server latency that realistically shouldn't be the way it is. The game is pretty much in two tenses. The killer has their own tense of time and you have your own tense of time as a survivor. The killer is like 3 seconds behind. It's a single player game for both sides. And the killer has more power when it comes to that because he can hit you first depending on his screen. In Siege, if you were lag abusing that bad, or you were region hopping with that bad of ping to abuse latency, you were usually reported and reprimanded. Or you were like dodged every game, or you were shamed. In this game, it's not a thing at all, because for some reason that it's just a part of life now. It's something that's accepted, and it's stupid. That's not something I can go behind. It's just another level of bullshit that makes the game severely unfun, and it makes all your time and skill worth nothing. Next thing I want to talk about is character design. Overall, I feel that character design in this game, morely on the killer side, has been supremely boring and really bad. Starting from about probably what Plague, I think their train of original characters has been very, very poor and have led to nothing but horrible designs that are either unfun for both the killer and the survivor, or blatantly OP things that have not been looked at or ignored, or are ignored for about, we'll say about maybe almost 3 or 4 patches worth of time, almost a year more. It took forever to fix Old Legion. It took forever for Spirit to get looked at. It only was when the community finally decided to explode constantly on the forums that behavior thought it was time to look at Spirit. For example, Plague, her power is controlled by the survivors, and she becomes an M1 killer because no one wants to cleanse, because if they do cleanse, she's handed probably, if not the most broken ability in the game that has, again, never been looked at, never been changed, never been fixed accordingly to make survivors want to actually cleanse, so Plague either gets her power and survivors don't have to be broken for the whole goddamn game. It counters Iron Will. It counters locker perks. It counters everything. And especially with her iridescent add-on where she can see you if you puke, you can't control that. You can't counter that unless you cleanse. And no one wants to cleanse because Corrupted Purge is OP. So Plagues can't get their ability, and survivors don't want to be broken all the time, because if I want to be broken all the time, I'd run no mither. It's stupid. Spirit again. A character that is fundamentally broken on every other level in the game, every other invisibility or dash in this game, has a way of a survivor seeing it and reacting to it. You can see Wraith's like Halo style invis, his hazy invis. You can see the nurse teleporting. You can see the wisps. You can see her hand go up. Huntress, her hatchet goes up, and you hear the sound. Clown, the hand goes up as well. You see him throwing his bottle, etc. Pig crouches. You know when these things are coming. There's feedback from those killers on what they're doing, so the survivor can react accordingly. But the Spirit, there isn't. Like, don't get me wrong, the nerfs were fine. The nerfs are good. They're in a spot in the right direction. But ultimately, it's not what the main problem was. The main problem was her lack of feedback to the survivor in order to accordingly deal with her in a 1v1 situation. And although the nerfs are nice, again, it doesn't hit the core issue. They've changed the icing, but not the cake. And to me, that's still an issue. She's still going to be the same old Spirit, but with less flashy side things, you know? She's just gonna be a straightforward, the same killer. Just without side things to make her more broken, which I guess I'll leave it for when it comes out fully to see what it's like. But I ultimately don't agree with it. I think there needs to be more done. Again, Plague as well needs to be reworked completely from the ground up. The character is beyond annoying to fight, and most players don't like playing her because her ability is controlled by survivors. That's why she's one of the least played characters in the game next to Hag. And it makes sense. Other than that, perk design I think is also extremely trash. Constant perks keep getting gutted for next to no reason other than the fact that maps need a change, or that behavior keeps releasing perks that they know from beforehand are going to be a problem, allowing survivors to adjust to using these perks and then gutting them anyways. They've constantly ruined different styles of play for survivors and essentially have left us with nothing. We're left with running around circles, literally running circles around objects, and praying we don't get hit through a pallet anyways, because every other style of play has been gutted. Dead Hard doesn't even work to begin with. That's another issue too, with bugs. Dead Hard doesn't work. When balance landing gets nerfed, there is no reliable, maybe there's no reliable exhaustion perk left. Maybe Strength Burst. Maybe. But overall, it's the survivor quality of life needs to change immediately. It's sad. It's pathetic. And it's just not something I can go behind anymore. There's just so much garbage that I've dealt with since servers, and even the big content creators have stopped for so long that if it's not a sign to a lot of people, then it will never be. It's pathetic. Next I want to talk about is the rank system. Obviously, everyone knows the rank system is very boring. It's bland. It doesn't exactly determine skill by any means. It just determines how long you've played for a season. And ultimately, you get nothing out of it. Rank has no reward, and the only thing you get from being high rank is either long queue times, really bullshit sweaty games, and abuse of really OP things. Essentially, a lot of red rank games turn into hard camp anyways and hard tunnel because killers think that they cannot win without tunneling or camping because the gens go too fast. Sure, the gens may go quite fast in this game, but if gen times do get nerfed, they would definitely have to rebalance chase because the amount of pallets on a map right now do not justify gens being slower. They need either to learn how to pressure the damn map or behavior has to rebalance chase. Either way, red rank games are just really silly, and it's just a heavy abuse of OP things that no one really knows how behavior wants to work the game around. No one knows if they want to buff around the 4v1, so the full game in general, or the 1v1, the survivor versus the killer in a chase. They need to pick their side on what they want to nerf on, or buff. They can't constantly be jumping the fence because then you're just creating more imbalance on both sides and it's becoming silly. Rank needs a change, definitely. It's boring to me to rank up to begin with because there's no reward, and I'm sick and tired of queue times. Queue times for survivor right now average around maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And it's not fun. Most of these games end anyways very quickly, and there is next to no point to being high rank because when I stream this game, I wait more than queue than I play the game. It's infuriating, it's frustrating, and it's just not fun. With rank meaning next to nothing, there should be no reason why the matchmaking is this strict. On top of that, the swift change for matchmaking is probably the most, if not pathetic, change in gaming history. There is no reason why you should be only queuing for the highest ranked person, especially in a game like Dead by Daylight. It's impossible for me to play with new friends in a game that is casual and a party game where rank does not matter because killers want to cry and complain that they get shit on by high ranks. It's very sad. I can't believe behavior caved for something like this, and they should revert that ASAP. It's pathetic. It's sad. 2 rank 1s and like 2 rank 10s should be about a rank 8, maybe rank 7 in between. It should not be 2 rank 15s and a rank 1 equals I'm versing the best fucking Hunters players in the world. No. It's bad for me, it's bad for them, it's bad for the killer. The killer gets a free game and it's boring for them. And they have to wait in queue again too. Next with that I want to talk about is probably just the meta. So every game just seems to be Ruin Pop, DS Adrenaline, Dead Hard, Barbecue. It's the same recurring like 10 perks across the whole board, every game, and the same recurring killers all the time, that just make this game so bland for me. It's not fun. It's boring. Like, nothing has been stirred up for like years and years and years. Things have stayed the same forever. I don't get why it takes so long for something to change in this game. I get it. They should be focusing more on the actual game itself, the actual infrastructure, than balance. Because look at the state the game's in. It definitely needs it. And I fully agree. I agree with that. But at the same time, it shouldn't take 3+ years for something to change. Freddy was the same for 3 years. Balance Landing was the same for 3 years. DS was the same for like 2. And it took them forever to finally change. A Medal of Man was the only exception of something that was gutted within a month, and they knew perfectly well what they were doing. They knew what they were doing when they released that perk. They knew the damage it would cause, but they gutted a paid DLC anyways for no reason. So, perks should not be getting the Medal of Man treatment. They should be readjusted accordingly and actually be useful in game and not shit. That's the best way to put it. This goes for both sides of the game as well. Like, other perks should be worth more. Like, the meta perks are becoming boring. A lot of them don't even work anymore. Borrowed time has been countered by Undetectable, which is probably the most garbage change I've ever seen them ever do. Undetectable just created Old Legion with Freddy if Borrowed time ever went off, or it doesn't even work in general. Freddy, on the other hand, is another animal on his own. I don't understand why a killer who is 115, has a teleport, and has that much pressure in the dream world can have infinite snares. Why are they cycling, and why are they not limited? Hag is a 110 killer. It makes sense for her to cycle. It's all she has. Hag is very reliant on her ability. And it can be countered by a flashlight. Or people can just pop it when she's carrying a survivor. It is not difficult. Hag is a strong character, but she has counterplay. Unlike fucking Spirit and Freddy, where he is 115, he can spam the snares, and you hit multiple of them, and you can't even loop. You're fucked. You're done. On top of that, Hag doesn't have a crazy, like, state of world, a state of environment where she's pretty much invisible and has no heartbeat or radius, where you have to guess pretty much where he is all the time. And I think Freddy needs to change right away. Slow down Freddy, or Forever Freddy, is what he's slanged as, is probably, again, the next probably most pathetic OP build I've ever seen since Speed Spirit, or Eerie Head Huntress, or Omega Blink Nurse. Old Omega Blink, that is. And it definitely needs to be nerfed right away. There's no sense to be doing one gen for 5 minutes just for him to teleport and pop it anyways. I don't get why he's able to stack so much. So, my opinion, his snares should not, they should not cycle. He should have a limit, and that's it. Just like a Trapper Trap. Or he should have some sort of way to break them other than being awake. Maybe a flashlight could burn them or something. But Freddy has next to no counterplay in my opinion. The most you can do is probably stay awake and loop accordingly. If you ever get hit too, there's nothing you can do. So, other than that, TLDR, survivor quality of life, servers, a lot of bugs. And actually, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. The last part I actually want to talk about is map design. And I'm not sure, I think I've covered this briefly, but a lot of the new maps they've come out with are severely garbage. Hawkins is probably, again, the worst design map I've ever seen in my life. Out of any game that has maps ever. There should not be that many pallets that are next, like not even next to unsafe. Unsafe is an over optimistic word. They're just useless. I don't understand how these pallets could have gone through on behavior like internally without anyone thinking, damn, this is brainless. Like, how can you invent these new maps with such garbage pallets and have Bloodlust be the same? Or have them be so brainless that the killer can just walk around and ignore every pallet? It doesn't make sense to me. That's not counterplay. There's no counterplay to that. That's not mind gaming. That's not skill. That's just brainless fucking hold W. It's insane to me how bad that is. And if they nerf balance landing again, which like they are already anyways, if they nerf balance landing, then the only playstyle that made that map viable for a survivor is gone. That map is useless. And look at the stats. It was the worst map in all of Dead by Daylight for Survivor. It's garbage. So was the game, and so was Leary's. Leary's is a whole other animal too. Leary's is trash. The game, you can maybe work around it because there are good pallets. It's just a little bit of RNG. But overall, the game is not that bad. Hawkins needs a complete rework. The pallets are a joke. It's not skill. It's just brainless. It's way brainless. I drop a pallet and run and pray that he either breaks it or runs around. And most sentient killers aren't going to break it. They're going to bloodlust you. And I don't get how you can create so many garbage pallets and not change bloodlust. How can that be a thing? Ultimately, your biggest band-aid that ever made killer so easy since 2016 isn't even adjusted when you make maps brain dead. I will never understand why. It's just something that I want changed right away. And I think if maps keep continuing down that route, this game is done. It's going to be extremely brainless and there's going to be no skill. Just hold W for as long as you can. On the other hand, even Haddonfield, for example, is a very strong survivor map. And instead of fixing that map, to be fair, they got a whole style of survivor play with balanced landing that shouldn't have been gutted. Sure, it can be problematic on some maps, but on some variants, like in Autohaven, you can't really abuse balance on Autohaven. It's not a thing. So now it's just going to be a one and done on maps that aren't even that good. Or Shelter Woods. If you have balancing on Shelter Woods, it's useless. Instead of just fixing the maps and making them fair for both sides, you just got a perk and a playstyle. You leave Survivor with nothing. And I don't get why. It's just pathetic and it's sad. So overall, these are the things that have deterred me from Dead by Daylight. And just leave me with absolutely no feeling to stream it, play it, or anything for more than a few hours. Too many killers have become brain dead easy with their add-ons or their design. Servers make Survivor miserable and impossible. And nothing gets solved because there's too many complaints on both sides. This game is more divided than two political parties. And we'll never come to a compromise because things are constantly either broken or behavior just doesn't know where they stand with either nerfing for 4v1 or 1v1 or changing things accordingly. A lot of characters' add-ons need changing. A lot of them are still tuned for old Survivor gameplay. Erie Head, Hillbillies, Nurses was a very good change. But a lot of them are still tuned for old Survivor gameplay, and it's quite pathetic. Exhaust add-ons too are a problem. Exhaustion keeps getting nerfed, and exhaust add-ons don't get changed. It's pathetic that one side keeps getting changed, but not the other accordingly. So they really, really do need to retune a lot of these add-ons. Like charge time on Hillbilly is busted. Crackbilly is very oppressive, especially with latency. There's next to no counterplay to these things once they're on you. Spirit Fury is another one. It creates nothing but brainless gameplay where killers just run through pallets, and they're not exactly respecting them as a survivor should be respecting a killer in that sense and be afraid of them. But again, ultimately, both sides do need fixing, and it's not really one side that I'm talking about. Ever since I hit that nurse bug yesterday, I was really, really triggered. Like, holy fuck, these servers are horrible. It's sad. On top of, like, why would I bother waiting for a 10-minute queue just to have a game that's that bad? That runs like shit. I don't get it. It's not fun for me. It's hard for me to make content on this game anymore. It's just not fun for me. I'm bored, and if I win, it's not that crazy, and if I lose, it's aggravating. That's all it is. So, take it as it is. I don't know what I'm going to be doing in the future. I'm just going to be patient until the rank rework. If rank is worth something, I could probably continue to play this game and wait it out to see what the devs do. If not, I'll probably move on to something else. My goal was always to be an esports player and a content creator, and this game ultimately is not providing that for me anymore. There's absolutely nothing to do in Dead by Daylight other than, I guess, try to create your own laugh. Just due to lack of content, and no characters are in content, that's just fillers. And if ultimately these things don't change, I don't see a reason anymore to play, so that's where I'm going to leave it at. So, thanks guys.